Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the public hearing of the 2018-2019 budget. Before we start, I'm just going to ask the audience, how many here are here for the presentation of the budget? Okay. Board members, may we have a motion to change the agenda for tonight, moving the public hearing after the oak tree celebration?
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Oh, the budget is up here first.
Well, with that being said,
Would you going to stay for the budget as well, correct? Okay, just want to make sure.
would you please stand and join us in the reciting of the Pledge of Allegiance? And I'd ask our special guest, Mr. Peck, to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And our other special guest, Mrs. Hanley, I know you forgot your guitar, but could you sing us a few bars of No, never mind. Okay.
All right, since we are in regular meeting, the Board of Education does invite the public to comment on matters regarding the school district. The public comment session of the meeting is a time for the Board of Education to listen. And as a courtesy, we ask that you limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes. Comments naming specific personnel should be addressed privately or in writing to the board in order to protect the individual's rights. And matters that would infringe upon student privacy will not be addressed in this public forum. With that being said, is there anyone present who would like to address the board tonight? Seeing none, we will move on. Student liaisons, would you mind going after the oak tree celebration? Thank you very much on that.
Thanks, Nat.
Tonight we are honoring our Oak Tree Award recipients. This award is appropriately named for symbolizing courage and strength because the oak tree is believed to be the most powerful of trees. Socrates believed that the oak tree had divine powers and considered it to be authoritative. The pre-Christian priests are believed to have eaten acorns in preparing to preach. Observing the oak's massive growth and impressive expanse, ancient Celts took this as a clear sign that the oak was to be honored for its endurance, its noble presence, representing all that is true, wholesome, and noble. The ancient Greeks considered the oak a cosmic storehouse of wisdom, embodied within its towering strength, and referencing them to their elders who had known and witnessed many things. So our next two guests embody this wisdom and strength as they are our 2018 recipients of the Oak Tree Award. Wendy and Lisa, would you like to make introductions?
Thank you for allowing us to make this in your presence, because it's exciting to be able to pick an exemplary teacher and to we kind of mug them in their classroom now, and that's really nice. We got it on Twitter, we got pictures, but to be able to present it for everyone, that makes it a really special honor. This year, the secondary winner is Alex Peck from Schrader High School, and the elementary winner is Cindy Handley from State Road Elementary, and we were very, very pleased, very honored. And it was a very large pool and a difficult decision, like it always is.
So Alex and Cindy.
You should have nameplates as well. Can I just give them a couple of minutes to?
Sure.
Yeah, that would be much nicer than hearing me talk.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I hope you don't mind if I read from my piece of paper here. My husband said I'm under a minute and a half, so we're good. Oops. Wow. Well, I cannot put into words adequately how honored I am to win this award. I'd like to thank the PTSA, the WTA, Wendy, Umberine, the Oak Tree Committee, Carmen, the Board of Education, Christine, Lucy, my friends and colleagues, Craig, Stephanie, and Christine for their humbling letters of recommendation, the Baker family for nominating me. I have the most wonderful staff of colleagues and friends ever, which is my State Road family, my family, most of all, my students and their families. How blessed I have been and very proud to be a teacher for all of my career here in Webster. ONE Webster is truly me. I'm a proud Webster graduate, and I have lived and taught in Webster for most of my life. My State Road colleagues are truly not just my friends, they are my family. I share this great honor with all of them, as they have always supported me, shown great compassion and kindness to me, laughed with me, sang with me, shared lots of good food together, and most of all, showed me great love always. They are the very best of the best. My students have been my inspiration, and they're my bright spots each and every day. Children are magical, and I am forever grateful for all the little lives I've had the great pleasure to teach. I will miss them more than they can imagine. I'd like to just thank you sincerely from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
I don't know if you know this, but you had 3 separate nominations.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
You did not know that. So what I do for everyone is I create a little certificate to share for everyone, regardless of the outcome of this. There's an acorn pin that you can wear proudly, a hand-lathed pen,
Oh my gosh.
and a stipend check that goes along with that.
Thank you very much. It's beautiful. Thank you. And if I could just say one more thank you. Thank you to my couple rows of people back there, too. I didn't expect that.
And Alex Peck is our secondary winner. He was nominated by a student, Jana Iannoni. Is that how you say it? She's hiding.
You sure you don't want to come talk?
In a very heartfelt letter, and I think it was pretty exciting to be able to enter his classroom, see a lot of my former students, and give him a cookie.
Is there a few words you'd like to share?
Sure. I'd just like to say thank you to the board and to the PTSA and the Oak Tree Committee. This is incredibly humbling for me to be here. And I want to thank my mom, she's the reason I am a teacher, encouraged me to do it. I didn't know I'd be good at it, but so thank you, Mom. I want to thank Mr. Paddock for the letter of recommendation he wrote for me. When I was a student at Fairport, literally in my wildest dreams, I never thought I'd be sitting here at a Webster board of yeah. It's funny how things work out, because I never thought I would be sitting here, especially with Mr. Paddock here, and my elementary school principals here as well. I want to thank G for the nomination. I was blown away that I was even nominated, and let alone sitting here winning this. It's unbelievable. I know Mr. Eckler wanted to be here really badly tonight, and I want to thank him for literally embracing me since day one at Webster Schrader. He was literally the first person I met. I actually became friends with him somehow even before I taught my sample lesson. I was at my 3rd interview at Webster Schrader, and him and I were talking about baseball, and that conversation never stopped. So, and I want to thank my wife, Katie, who's here, for supporting me. Webster's, I have been fortunate enough to teach at Webster my entire career. I've been some other places. I've been laid off a few times, so to be able to still do this job is absolutely amazing. She supported me through some hard times, so thank you very much. And just thank you to all my kids. This is incredible. Thank you.
There's also a plaque
So-
that will reside in their schools for the next year.
So I guess the term "once a Raider, always a Raider" doesn't hold true anymore?
Yeah, sometimes there's a little, yeah.
Remember, Webster grad signs your time sheet.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You gonna get a picture? Yep, we figured. Well, Natalie, while they're taking care of their pictures, you wanna come up and tell us about Schrader?
All right, so thank you so much for having me. Our sports have been doing very well recently. Our boys varsity lacrosse team is 6-5 right now. They have recently beaten Spencerport, Wayne, and Canandaigua. Last Friday, girls lacrosse celebrated their senior night, and boys lacrosse teacher appreciation night is actually tonight too. Boys varsity tennis had their senior night last night and beat Spencerport, and then both girls and boys track beat Victor last week. Our varsity baseball team won their game yesterday. And next week, or this Friday actually, in the Schrader Gym is our unified basketball game featuring our special needs students. So our spring concerts are starting. Wind Ensemble, Symphony Band, and Concert Band had a concert last night. Select Vocal Ensemble won gold with distinction at competition in Spencerport. And yesterday at Schrader was decision day, so all of our seniors wore their college apparel or wherever they're going next year and had cake and lemonade in our college and career center. And AP tests start next week, so my classmates and I have been very busy prepping for the exams. Community Arts Day was a success. Our Tri-M Music Honor Society inducted new members at Schrader last Friday, and then we hosted a small coffee shop-like concert the night after. I would also like to give props to Mr. Peck. He's my student council advisor, and he's my link crew advisor, so it was really nice seeing him here speak, and that was really meaningful. And then that's all that's been going on at Schrader recently. So thank you.
A few board members today met with a number of students from Schrader, and I would ask that you relay the message that we were very, very impressed with their research, with their delivery, and just the passion they had for what they were talking to the board about.
Sure. All right.
I'm sorry I can't remember all their names, but if you see Caitlin, she will probably...
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And Lisa walked out, right? So there's no... All right. So the public hearing of the Webster Central School District 2018-2019 budget is now open. Our purpose is to receive comments from the public on the proposed budget. But before we do that, Brian, would you please review the budget for our public audience?
Sure, happy to. So just a couple slides that we put together, some what the last year has looked like since we were last together at a public budget hearing. So you can see the last graduating class received $6.7 million worth of scholarships and contributed to the community over 6,000 hours of community service. Webster continues to outpace the New York State and national average on advanced placement exams, and we have over 320 students that are AP scholars. Some other things of note that separate us out in the past year, second year of the one-to-one initiative, and we're really seeing the fruits of the Webster Technical Internship Program. Some of the kids that participated last year went off to college and were able to secure some great jobs based on that experience. And all of our students are now receiving a certification from Dell as part of their training that they could take with them and use that to advance their careers as they go through college or whatever they choose to do. Also this year, very exciting, we are now operating a fully functioning aquaponics greenhouse to support our food service program. Many of you have enjoyed some of the salads and vegetables that have come from that. So really one of the most amazing projects we've probably ever done. Once again, for the 13th time, we are honored as a top music community, and over 234 students were selected to perform in honor ensembles throughout the county, the state, and the nation. Additionally to that, we're offering extensive Project Lead the Way science courses, STEM courses, that is unique. The Project Lead the Way program is something for us to be extremely proud of as we've expanded that this past year as well. And the Webster Sparks High School robotics team advanced to the semifinals at the first Buckeye Regional in Cleveland. Yeah. And this was the second year of working with a mindfulness curriculum. So a lot of happenings in this last year since the last time we had our budget hearing. So what are some factors, just to review, what has influenced this budget? So this is the 7th year of the New York State property tax cap. Our cap was right at 3% this year. First time in a while that the actual consumer price index was over 2%. So that's why you see the cap was higher this year at 3% than in previous years. Since we're at the cap, all residents are eligible for the rebate program. So sometime in the fall, perhaps early winter, when the state will issue those rebate checks. We also had some pension and benefit costs, some significant increases. The pension increase caught us off guard with how well the stock market had been doing, but the teachers' retirement system had made some structural changes, which caused that we weren't anticipating. Minimum wage for many of our part-time student workers, part-time staff, and so that's a 7% increase, so that's a budgetary influence. And then we had some special education cost increases early on in the budget process that we needed to take a look at. Okay, so what did we accomplish to review? We added math teaching assistant support at the elementary levels. We added the 611 special education program at Schlegel Road. Significant savings from the BOCES program, plus doing it in-house is much better. So we have multiple new hires with that program. Maintain all the current programs, as that's saying everything that we're doing now is going to continue forward. Right now you're seeing a lot of news stories about some other districts removing a foreign language or cutting this program. So what we're doing now is being carried forward, so no cuts in programming. We are adding one additional resource officer as well as a highlight that we talked about in the workshops. Our reserves, we're not using any more than we are this year, so we're maintaining that stable balance. And of course, highlight is we're proud of staying within the property tax cap is a great accomplishment in this year's budget. So our proposed 2018-19 budget here, this is just a summation of our workshop information summarized by the major categories, salaries, benefits, supplies, contractuals. You notice the large decrease for our BOCES services. Those are the kids coming back, so we're not spending that money with BOCES. That's the one area I wanted to highlight there. And that's, this is a very eye-opening chart. We spent 92% of our budget is spent on 4 things. I think that's, when you see this chart, that's the most impressive thing. Salaries, benefits, what we spend with BOCES, and our debt service account for 92% of our overall budget, which leaves us just an 8% for everything else. So I think that is, from a statistic point of view, it's very, very opening. So next I'll run through the 3-part budget. This is the part of the budget we're required to by law in New York State to present in this manner. Years ago, every kind of local district had their own way of describing the information. So the state wanted a more fundamental, uniform process throughout. So there's 3 components. The administrative component, that is essentially all your back office and support areas, as well as building administration gets lumped into the administrative part. Program is anything associated with direct instruction of students, including transportation of students is considered the program part of the budget. And then the capital part of the budget is all facilities, maintenance, and debt service, and any transfers to the capital fund. So those are the three parts, the three-part budget that we're required to do. So here's where our three parts break down. So administrative is about 7.5%. Our program is just under 78%, and our capital is at 14.6%. So you see a majority of what we do is spent on the program, the instructional program here at Webster, compared to the other two parts. And there's the overall numbers of our budget, $172,316,603, and the corresponding dollar figures for the three parts and how it's divided up. Okay. And then just to highlight what goes into the administrative budget, break it down into a little further. So all of the Board of Education costs, the Superintendent's Office, business, our legal and personnel, our insurance, the school association dues that we pay to be part of all the New York State groups, our BOCES administrative costs, that is our part, that's our share of being part of Monroe One BOCES. That's an administrative, all of the building principals, and the associated benefits with all the people that are associated with these parts of the budget get allocated to this as well. So a 2.39% increase in our administrative budget compared to last year. Next up is the program budget. Overall, a 2.86% increase compared to last year. You see all the different, special education, regular instruction, our occupational education program, kids that go for CTE. Special schools is really summer school. The state just labels it as special schools. Our library, our instructional, computer-assisted instruction, transportation, all right here. Recreation is our continuing ed program that we offer, and the benefits for everybody that's associated with this part of the program budget as well. Lastly, the smallest in terms of what's in it, the capital budget, because it's really just our buildings and grounds, operations and maintenance, the benefits associated with those employees there, our debt service, and our transfers to capital. So you see a very small increase of 1.3% when you compare our capital budget between the years. Any questions so far on that three-part budget and how presented? Okay, next up is our fiscal supplemental. Kind of teased it down into one slide from the New York State report card and how we stack up against similar districts and all districts as part of general education. As you see, the state has a different way for all these of reporting. They don't include expenditures in transportation or debt service in many of their calculations, so they remove those parts of our budget to do these per pupil calculations. But overall, you see we spend per pupil less than similar districts, and overall for the state. The one area where we are a little different is with special education costs for us compared to the similar and other districts. I don't know if you could remember, so this is dated back to 2015-16. There's a lag on all the data reporting. So in that year, we had a significant uptick in BOCES placements. We had about $1 million, 10 BOCES placements that year into the budget, which escalated our costs overall in comparison. So you see that data skewed for that year. Okay, so we'll get into the revenue overview. Where are we? So you see a 60-30 split in essence between property tax and state aid, the two major funding sources, with sales tax being the next largest. And then what we appropriate, our appropriated fund balance is applied as well. So what I like to do is, so this is 2018-19. What was it like in 1994-95? We were at a 57-31 split. So our property tax share has gone up as overall part of the budget, while the state support has gone down by 1%. And the major thing you'll notice is that sales tax was 6% back then, and now it's 2%. So just a couple interesting data points on how the trends have shifted of where we've gotten our money from, our revenue. So when we talk about budget now at the budget hearing, we always go over what's a contingent budget, what's the process. So in the unfortunate event that perhaps the budget does not get approved, there's a couple different options that we share with the public. Can seek another vote in June with the same or a different budget. It's Board of Education's decision. Or you can immediately implement the contingent budget after the first vote. So what does that look like? So it's based on the tax cap. So what you could do is automatically, the tax levy cannot be greater than the prior year. So for us, we would be capped from what we raised last year. So that's a loss of $3 million. Certain items still must be removed from the budget. Certain equipment, free community use of school facilities, or just to name a few, things that would have to come out of the budget under a contingent purchasing. And we must stay within administrative percentages from the prior year. So contingent budget has its own little rules in case that ever happened. So what was ours look like for a starting point? We would automatically drop to 170 million. 1.8 would have to come out. Those are our contingent expenses that we'd remove. And then obviously would require some additional reductions because we would have a 0% tax levy. So we'd have to make up that difference somehow. So our propositions this year, we have, first up, our bus purchase. We have 10 66 passenger buses, 5 30 passenger buses, our minibuses, and 1 wheelchair unit. You know, we replace our buses every 10 years, 10,000 miles, give or take, depending on the make, model, and how well they're doing. Some go a little sooner, some stay on a little longer. But this is our typical ordinary bus proposition that we have every year. And then the next proposition is for Board of Education candidates. We have 2 3-year terms with 4 candidates running for the election. The names will appear in order like this, how we drew names from a hat. So that is the other proposition this year. Vote reminder, Tuesday, May 15th, Webster Schrader High School from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Once again, we're fully electronic voting. We are, you know, it's become second nature now. I think this is will be the 3rd budget vote where we are completely electronic. So makes things move much faster and smoother. Any questions on anything?
Board members? You okay? Thank you, Brian. So is there anyone at this time in the audience who would like to comment or ask a question related to the budget? All right, then I would like to comment. Webster provides an excellent education environment for our students. Our elementary schools are nurturing. Our middle schools are designed to address the unique educational and social needs of our adolescents. Our high schools provide a broad range of academic opportunities and electives, including AP classes. The experiences that students gain in the clubs and academic teams and interscholastic athletic complement the knowledge they acquire in the classroom. This proposed budget continues to provide those opportunities. Now, fiscal responsibility has always been important in Webster. When the Board of Education approves the school budget, we recognize that we are spending your money, and we take that very seriously. This proposed budget maintains a balance between sustaining the integrity of our educational program while observing the community's call to stay within a tax cap limit, and it ensures fiscal responsibility for our taxpayer. A detailed budget newsletter has been mailed to all residents. We hope that you read it carefully as you prepare to vote on May 15. You can also find complete information on our website. Polls will be open, as you saw in our slides, between 6 a.m. and 9 p.m. on May 15th, and voting will be taking place at the Schrader High School. With that being said, we will close our public hearing of the 2018-2019 budget. You don't have a report, right? No. Okay, we'll move on to board business. The treasurer's report. Brian?
Sure. We have 2 treasurer's reports. I'm excited to announce that these were first 2 completed by our new treasurer, Chris Nasella, who you met when he joined us in January here. Just a couple things to point out. You'll notice some changes in our banks are where our money is located from previous treasurer's reports. We're trying always to take advantage of the highest interest rates. So you'll notice in the January and February reports, see a few more moves into Key Bank because they were offering some higher rates. So I just wanted to point that out to everyone.
Any questions from the board? May I have a motion, please, to approve? Second. Thank you. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we'll move on to our Board of Education calendar. Please note that the retreat has been scheduled for August 2nd. We do have a request that we move it from 9 a.m. to 8 a.m. I don't know if that is agreeable to everyone. Uh-oh, Sue's not sure.
I'll get there as soon as I can.
Okay. Other than that, we're using basically the same format of a business meeting and workshop meeting per month, with a couple of executive sessions thrown in there for evaluation purposes. Any questions on our proposed calendar? Then may we have a motion, please, to accept the first reading?
I just have a comment.
Okay.
I just hadn't looked at this that closely. The Tuesday, August 14th. It just tends to be a week that a lot of people are on vacation. I just want to make sure we're going to have a quorum, because I will not be there.
Okay. Is it too soon to ask everyone? They don't know their plans? Because that's the best time for you to do the tax rates, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah. Okay.
Are you here, Jan?
I think so. Yeah, I'm not here in July, but I think I'm coming back for that.
I think that's okay. Okay.
Okay, we should be okay then.
Okay.
All right. Anything else? Then can we accept first reading, please?
I'll
Motion?
make that motion.
Thank you. Second?
In a second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Sue, we have a first reading on school safety.
Yes, we do. This was, ended up redoing the policy, and the district ended up redoing their regulation to go along with it. It's pretty lengthy, and several of the recommendations were from our attorney. Nothing really structurally different, but just needed to be cleaned up, and the language just needed to be improved, put it that way.
Sue,
So you can see the changes that we've made.
question number 5, or statement 5.
Yep.
Is that report a yearly report?
Did we decide that, Brian? Is Brian still here? He's not here? Yes. Okay, yes.
Okay. Are we okay?
We should put that in yearly.
I was
then.
just-
Could we, yeah, we should change that. Cindy, do you mind? So section 5, just put, section 5, number 5, just put yearly. And then we can make sure that that gets on our calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Okay. May we have a motion, please, to accept the first reading of the policy 4500 with the amendments?
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We also have a resolution before us to appoint a acting clerk, a chairperson, a chief inspector, a deputy chief inspector, an assistant clerk, as well as an inspector of elections for the annual election vote on May 15th. Do you have any questions there? Then may we have a motion, please, to accept the resolution?
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And we'll move into our liaison reports. Bill, do you have any? I know you've been away.
No, I did talk to Craig today. Last week, Frank North had a sweetheart dance, very successful. Moms and dads and grandparents all showed up with their families. Had some graduates that moved on to Sprague come back for the dance. So it was successful. And then Craig and Heather spoke to me today about in preparation for Staff Appreciation Week coming up. The students put together a brief video for every single member of their staff describing the contributions they did. It was quite touching about that. So congratulations to the Plank North staff. They did a great job.
Thank you, Bill. Chad?
North PTSA meeting on Monday, April 23rd. And the one thing I was very excited about is they had a visiting artist there, Carol Fairchild, and each K-5 student created a tile, three-dimensional tile that's sort of a self-portrait, but they were done in different ways by class, and the mural is going to be put up in the front hall of the school so that, and the title of it, so that everyone in the school is represented, and the title of it is "We All Smile in the Same Language." So I think that's a wonderful project that they undertook. Clem North is going to be starting a breakfast program for the first time. They're excited about that, and they're going to start it before the end of this school year. So give it a try and see how that goes. Of course, parents that were there were talking about and excited about the new playground that they're getting on the primary side, so we discussed that. May 10th and 11th, coming up, is their annual spring plant sale. And the next meeting is Monday, May 14th at 6:30. And as I'm sure all the other PTSAs are facing this, I guess I would say there's going to be lots of openings for positions, and I would just put in a plug that these people do a wonderful job, and I'm sure it's the same in every school. And I would encourage our parents to become active in the school where their children go. And even if it sounds overwhelming, I think that our PTSAs are such a well-organized group that they have it down so it's very manageable. You could, for example, just decide get your feet wet, so to speak, that you might want to assist in the plant sale, and that would be your only task, but then you would participate by coming to other meetings, but it isn't so overwhelming that you have to think, oh, I can't do that. So I guess I would encourage anyone who's listening to think about giving up just a little bit of time, because when you see the joy on our kids' faces when they do these special projects, it's really worth it.
Thank you, Jan. Linda?
Plank South's last PTSA meeting will be on Tuesday. It's hard to believe. It went so fast. They also last week had a spring dance, and they moved it to Schrader because there were so many kids that were excited to be there. They needed a larger venue, so it was a huge success. This Friday is the ice cream social, so hopefully the weather will be good so they can be outside. And next week starts teacher appreciation and the spring plant sale, so it's very busy over there.
Sue?
Schlegel is equally as busy. Next week is Staff Appreciation Week, along with a spring plant sale and family Nerf night. There's concerts, band, orchestra, and chorus are on the 15th and the 21st, and the PTSA, next PTSA meeting is on the 22nd.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tammy?
DeWitt's next PTSA meeting is on the 21st, and they too have a staff appreciation luncheon May 10th, and are looking for volunteers and donations and positions for next year, as well as all the schools are, and definitely very worthwhile to do.
Thank you. Now, even though Mother Nature did not allow the annual charity basketball game between Spry and Willing to happen, the Student Council at Spry recently presented the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society a donation of $2,000. That money was raised during Spirit Week. Congratulations go to the Science Olympiad team from Willing. In regional team competition, they finished either first or second, and at states, their battery buggy team finished fourth. At Clem South, their Mother's Day sale is coming up. On Tuesday, May 15th, there is a 5th grade concert at 7 p.m., and it's being moved to Schrader. And on the 18th, they have a family PTSA event planned. Just checking our board calendar. Tomorrow, Linda, you and I will be at Central. On Monday, Plank North. Are you going to be able to make that? Is there? Oh, okay. They didn't. Okay. All right. Then the 8th is Plank South. You've got that covered?
Yeah.
Do you also have one covered? I forget.
Yep.
Okay.
Everything going on here. Yep.
And then we have a workshop on the 10th, and then Clem North is on the 14th. You got that, and then our budget vote on the 15th, so that works out pretty good.
Mike, I
Yep.
also just saw an email from Monroe County School Boards about meeting with our representatives, and there's a meeting with Mark Johns. Did
You know, I
see
was
that?
actually going to go to the Rick Funky one in anticipation of a change. I just want him to know Webster's.
Sure.
Yeah, Mark Johns was on the Friday. Rick Funky's was on Thursday, and Mark Johns is on Friday.
Okay.
You want to go to
Do you
Mark
want to go to
Johns?
that?
On the Friday?
Yeah.
Which Friday?
I think it's the 18th. It's the one right after the
Right.
vote.
I
Yeah.
think so. I read that, yeah.
Yeah.
It's right,
Maybe
it's
Jan
in
and I will go
Packet
together.
Landing.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we can do
Okay.
that. Okay.
All right. At our legislative meeting yesterday, we produced 2 position papers. The first states the demand for mental health services has increased as a result of better information on childhood trauma, and that current funding constraints have left areas that support this critical need of students and their families overwhelmed and are less able to be effective. Therefore, Monroe County School Boards Association supports increased mental health funding and believes that schools should have the option to offer on-site mental health services. The second paper stated that the number one priority of Monroe County School Boards Association is to educate students in a safe and secure environment. Therefore, we are calling on both the New York State Legislature as well as the federal government to provide funding to inform schools on firearm research, and that any legislation should allow for local control and contain flexible funding parameters. In addition, expenses related to school safety and security should not be included in the tax cap levy. And finally, Monroe County School Boards Association does not support arming teachers as a solution to the gun violence in America. I don't know if there's any questions from the board on that, but at our executive committee, the Monroe County School Board budget was approved. There are no due increases next year. My term as president is up, so the nominating committee is suggesting Lisa Ireland from Brockport, as well as Kathy Dillon from Churchville as vice president. And the annual meeting will be Wednesday, May 23rd at Shadow Lake. Okay, so we'll move on to labor relations. Do we have, I
Can we
can't,
see who's going to go, and maybe Cindy could sign us all up
I'm sorry?
for the
Oh.
annual meeting?
Sign-ups?
Yeah, I'd like to go.
I think we did talk about that. I'd like to go too.
So us two. Okay, and
It's all right.
Mike, and you're
Yeah.
going.
Yes,
And Carmen's going.
yeah.
Okay, great. No, it's, you don't have to go to everything.
I know, I can't. I'm so sorry.
Did-
Baseball.
Did we already report on labor relations? I can't remember.
No, it was last week. Well, last week. It was on, they gave an update on special ed.
Yeah.
It was a really good meeting. The presentation showed how the state and federal aid is very underfunded, and they also gave some suggestions, which you always take into account, that there are many students that sometimes come into a district mid-school year, so you should budget accordingly just in case that they come into the district, so. Yeah.
We face that.
Yeah, we have faced that before, so it was a very good, informative presentation.
Information exchange, did we already report on that?
It's May 9th.
It's on ESSA, isn't it?
It's ESSA, and it is a different time as well. It's
Yeah,
from 4 to
4:30.
5:30.
From
On
4 o'clock,
Wednesday.
yeah. I should probably ask, is there anyone here who'd be interested in co-chairing one of those Monroe County School Board committees? Yeah, sure. I'm just asking, I'm trying to make Lisa's job easier next year. Okay, let's move into the consent agenda then. Hopefully, board members, you've had a chance to look at it. It contains recommendations from the superintendent involving personnel actions, the recommendations on the Committee on Special Education, as well as the recommendations on the Committee on Preschool Education, as well as cooperative bids for fine paper. We already did the resolution on that one. So may we have a motion, please, to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I just want to remind the board that we do have a workshop on Thursday, May 10th. And with that being said, may we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everyone. Oh, I should, actually, we have 2 scouts in the audience. You're here for the citizenship or merit badge? Would you like to introduce yourselves or say a few things or anything? Hope you learned something tonight.
Which troop are you guys in?
262.
262? Great. Thanks for coming tonight.
Yep. All right. We are adjourned. Good night, everyone.